Paul, firstly, what have the last 48 hours or so been like for you and the club?
Well, I think we're all very sad that football has created its very own PR disaster, which at the moment we're having to manage. Obviously, we're totally opposed to the idea of a European Super League in this type of format, and we've expressed that view today.
I mean, we can hear the helicopter in the sky now, monitoring the protesters outside Stamford Bridge. Their reaction, the reaction of, I don't know, Prince William, Boris Johnson, does all of it give you a little bit of hope that this can be prevented?
Absolutely. I think the reaction, the universal reaction against the idea, against the very concept, is probably the most significant I've seen in nearly 25 years of working in football. And that takes a lot, I think, to unite fans of every club, including the fans of the clubs that are potentially participating in the European Super League.
Does it come as a complete surprise? Your statement does allude to the fact that this is more or less a constant stream of attempts now that the bigger clubs are trying.
I think everyone understands that everyone has their own business priorities. They have their own targets to raise revenues, to make their businesses better. But one of the great things about football in this country is the pyramid system and the chance that every club at every level can dream about playing in European football. And you do that through merit. You do that through progress on the pitch. You do that through winning football matches. You do that by going through difficult times as well as good times. And unfortunately, what this concept does is effectively guarantees that right to a small number of clubs to the detriment of a much larger number of clubs. And that's not right. That's not the way football in this country is organised, and it's not the 150 years of tradition that our fans have become accustomed to.
I mean, the meritocracy of football, no one's felt it more keenly than Brighton. Would that be fair to say?
Well, we've certainly had our ups and downs, and we're very proud to play in the Premier League. It was one of the proudest moments in our club's history to reach the Premier League in 2017, and we've been working very, very hard every year since to stay there. And it's not easy. We're already competing against clubs like this one with much, much bigger budgets, but that's okay. We can do that. But if those budgets become vastly greater than they already are, then our ability to compete simply disappears. The value of the league starts to crumble, and our ability to effectively feed the rest of the game crumbles with it. And that's a real worry, not just to football clubs up and down the country in the Premier League and beyond, but also to the communities that they serve.
Do we also face a potential Premier League without clubs like this in it?
Well, that's something that the Premier League need to discuss with the 6 clubs involved. And what's so disappointing is that once again we've been blindsided by the news. We're reacting to something that we haven't been part of any discussion on. We had no real knowledge about. Of course, this has been mooted for some years, but unfortunately, this particular moment, it feels like we've created a real PR disaster, not just for the 6 clubs, who you've only got to look outside to see how difficult it is for Chelsea tonight, but for the whole of football.
You're one of the 14. There was a meeting today of those 14 other clubs, if you like. What can you tell us about what was discussed?
Well, obviously everyone's disappointed, angry, frustrated, dead set against the idea of a European Super League. I think most of us are feeling for our fans. We're feeling for the fans that believe in the dream. And the great thing about the English football pyramid is that dream exists, or at least it did until the concept of European Super League came along. So, from our point of view, I think we're all absolutely united against the idea and against the very notion of an ability to be in a competition that you actually haven't earned the right to be in.
How real is it, Paul, do you think?
That's really a question for the 6 clubs in this country and the other 6 clubs in other countries. I think when you've got a European Super League that at the moment has representatives from just 3 countries, it's hardly a European Super League. And I think we've already heard that there is opposition from Germany, from France. There's huge opposition in this country from the fans and from all the other clubs, from the Prime Minister, from the royal family, right the way through all the different constituents that exist in football. That should be pretty much a clear message that this idea is not one that people want.
But while we're talking about, Paul, self-interest, Paul, does that not apply to every single club, every single body within football? We saw it during Project Restart, everyone fighting in their own corner, Brighton included.
I was the first person to say during Project Restart that we all had to take care of our own areas because we're all self-interested. We take part in a professional sports competition. Of course we've got self-interest, we all want to win. But the key to our progress is winning. And the key to our progress through the competitions is on the field. It's through merit. It's not about a guaranteed right to play in a competition to the exclusion of lots of others. And that's really what this is about. This isn't about an opportunity to progress because you're a big club. This is an opportunity for any club, whatever size, to progress if they're good enough. And in any one season or in any one match night, a small club might well be good enough to topple a big club. They might be good enough to topple a big club several times in a season and finish, as Leicester have others might, in one of those top four positions. Look at West Ham this season compared to last season. If they finish in the top four, they deserve an opportunity to play in the next level of football competition for clubs, which is Europe.
Are relationships in a good enough place for the six to step back from the brink? Is there an olive branch still out there?
We've all worked together for many, many years. In my case, over 20 years in football. A lot of the people around the table, even longer. These relationships we thought were strong and deep. We trusted each other. We worked with each other every day, and we would hope to be able to do so again in the future. But unfortunately, episodes like this really don't help, and they take us back and they set us back because, of course, that creates mistrust, and the difficult conversations that now need to take place to try and put this thing back together need to happen, in my opinion, much sooner rather than later, because every single hour that goes by, this is such a fast-moving story that we're causing more and more damage to football.
So are you finding yourself at loggerheads, maybe, to use a strong word, feeling betrayed by people you called friends?
I think we're all disappointed at the actions of the clubs involved. We understand that they're trying to do the best for their businesses individually, but collectively, they're not doing the best for any of us. And we feel that as a collective, that's how our football pyramid has existed for 150 years. We need to be united. We don't need to be apart. And of all the times we wanted to be more united than ever, it's coming out the back of a pandemic when we've been looking at stadiums like this now for over 12 months. We need our fans on our side. We need them to have faith and confidence in us and our league and want them to come back to these stadiums and fill them again. This is not the time to be tearing each other apart. This is the time to be united more than ever.
Lastly then, if it did happen, we talked a little bit about self-interest. How much would it hurt Brighton, in terms of your job as the chief executive?
I think it takes away the dream. I think it takes away the dream of not just Brighton fans, but football fans everywhere who feel that their club, if they play well enough and play consistently enough, can play in the top levels of European football. And if that's taken away, well, then the dream's gone with it.